you briefly touched on a bit of a career path there. How have you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so I guess I've kind of touched on. I've always quite liked security because of it's us against them. It's like probably I'm sure similar reason why people like being in the police or other
Hmm.
kind of fighting agents or whatever. Right, you're kind of pitting yourself against the bad guys in some way. I think really early in my career, prior to being in security, I still gravitated towards doing security stuff. So kind of mid late 90s, I was where I got a chance to do security work, even though I wasn't a security person. I was building firewalls and IDSs and setting up snort IDSs on Linux boxes and that kind of fun stuff.
Nice.
So just enjoyed doing that sort of thing. Then I did some sort of, I think my very first job at Amuse People, I worked looking after some dental software. So
Nice.
you go into dentists and troubleshoot BNC cabling. If you've not been around that long, look up what that is. It's horrible network cabling that if one bit of it breaks, the whole network fell down and stuff like that. So
Oh, right.
it's fun. And then did some other kind of technical sporty roles. So I was with Ocado for a little while from prior to them going live. So it was like 45, 50 people above a distribution center in Hemel before they had their warehouse or anything, and looking after that and spending time at like 4 a.m. trying to look at Apache and Tomcat Java logs from Apache and Tomcat over a modem, so a dial-up modem. If any of you are familiar with that, a dial-up modem and the verbosity of Java logs do not play nicely together, especially when you've got like 4 terminal windows trying to tell logs to see why something's not working. So I did my time kind of on call and that sort of stuff as well, which I think does help, not necessarily whether it's security, but having some time in operational roles before you get into whether it's security or CIO or CTO, any kind of leadership roles, because you understand the pain of operations when stuff doesn't work right. If you've never been there, it can be quite easy to kind of throw stuff over the fence to people who've got to look after it and not really understand how much pain it can cause. So I think being in some sort of operational role, it might be, I think you mentioned you've spoken to someone who's in sales previously and stuff as well. It could be anything where you're frontline and you deal with customer issues and things breaking does help you kind of affinity, some empathy. There we go, that's the right word for that kind of thing. Then I was working for GE Money for a while as a project doing kind of security, not security, so general kind of tech projects. And we had a virus outbreak, and I managed to fix it with some registry edits and deleting files and mucking about before Symantec, who we had as an AV vendor at the time, got a fix out. Nice. And that just happened to coincide with the security manager starting, who was hiring a team, and he was like, "Do you want a job?" I was like, "Yes." So yeah, kind of I kind of gravitated around doing security stuff and just got a lucky break into security. Had a funny interview at the time because like HR was like, you have to have an interview. So we had like an interview where he'd asked me silly questions like what is ping and stuff, just to like appease the tick box, even though he'd already offered me the job. So that was kind of how I got into security, like as a real job. There was also kind of some influences. A guy I used to work with when I was at Ocado called Jonathan. He was just one of those people that was extremely good at technical stuff and security and things. He got given 2 copies of Secrets and Lies by Bruce Schneier.
Nice.
And I think just 2001 I think it came out, so he gave me one of those copies of that and it was a bit of a kind of a mentor to me in some of those ways, and that was one of my first kind of books that was like, oh yeah, I really do love this stuff. So I got into security analyst, and I sort of switched around between security and architecture a couple of times, because a lot of problems we have in security, as you'll hear a lot of people talking about, are because of things being built incorrectly. I think if you look back at security computer history, like 60s and 70s, some of the first things people wrote about computers and stuff is concerns with, can you ever build a secure operating system and security stuff and that. There's some really good papers that are worth looking at from those times, because they're the same issues we still have now because we've never cracked that nut. So I kind of did some architecture stuff, just general architecture, on the basis that if we built stuff really well, you get rid of quite a lot of security problems, and then kind of sort of flip-flop a couple of times between those two. Then did a bunch of years at WellPay as various different security things within the team, primarily looking at everything before go live. So my team owns or is accountable for all the kind of threat modeling, design reviews, architecture reviews, code security, third-party libraries, that kind of stuff, until it got handed over to sort of it's built and running. And I also had a little bit of thing there that was quite fun, where we started looking at security as a proposition as well. So when you're a big company that sells to small companies, can you either bundle in or sell some of your security stuff as part of what you do and make security less of a cost center and more of a potentially profit center, which is really exciting. And then moved from there to my first CISO role at Just Eat, which is really cool. Everyone knows who Just Eat is, right? And that was or if you don't, it's a food delivery company like Uber and Deliveroo and stuff, depending where you are in the world. And that's pretty cool because it's a cool, fully cloud native, DevOps, agile, fun place to work. Really easy to hire people into because like everyone wanted to work there because it's fun. And then I was CISO I did that for about 3.5 years. Moved on about the time that they were merging or being taken over by Takeaway.com. Did a couple of years at FNZ, similar kind of thing. Their first CISO, building out all the team from scratch and stuff. Did that for about 2.5 years, and now 6 months or so into NatWest Boxed / Metal. So we're Metal's a small bank, a bit like a Starling on Monzo for small businesses, a bank for small businesses, and Boxed is banking as a service. So looking at how we can help retailers embed payments into their systems, that kind of thing.
Nice.
And this is my smallest role in terms of company size, but it's hopefully super high growth because there's some big stuff coming. So yeah, I genuinely like building. I think as you go through your career, you realize more and more it's a people thing. So it's not just about can you do technical things right. Everything's people. You need to get people like your board and exec and the rest of your business on side with what you're trying to deliver. You need to hire the right people and build the right team culture. So everything becomes a people thing at the end of the day. And I really enjoy kind of building teams and trying to create good cultures as well. So a bit of a ramble there, but that's kind of how I got to where I am and some of why I like doing it.
No, mate, it's great. You can see a passion coming through on it, and why you do what you do. But you're right, it's horses for courses, and we touched on in the other JTI platform with women leaders in STEM when we did a focus for Father's Day with you and three of the other guys in the community. We were talking about the gender gap, right? And it's you can't just force it to happen, right? You have to find the right people for the right opportunity. I think what you've done really well, not that I'm anyone to judge, right, is you've been quite selective in what roles are suitable for you. You've not found yourself quite at all stagnant in your career. And that's kudos to you, mate, because it's quite brave because people need to obviously just take roles to progress the CV and so on and so forth. I've experienced replacing a few people in South Africa, and this is a similar sort of story. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your time. I'm sort of resonating with so much that you've said, and even more so from the community build in the alliances. We're just sort of building our own sort of CRM platform and gone through how many conversations that we've actually had over the last 7 years building the alliances, and there's in the thousands. So the conversation that you're having here is just I'm picking points in my time and in my time here at the alliances that your points will resonate for so many. So hopefully they get a chance to hear it. But yeah, thanks very much for the time, Mike. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Really enjoyed it.